Welcome. What is up? Welcome to the Mixer. I am your host, RC. We are back again. I'm joined by my co-host here, Jeff. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Life's good at the moment.
Awesome. So do not forget, follow us on our socials at FC Wine Mixer. Listen to our podcast like you are hopefully now. We're on most podcasters, sites, hosts. There we go. Got it. Nailed it. Rate and review if you'd like, and subscribe. Yeah, we're on YouTube. This is the Mixer channel. Blah 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 blah. Jeff, how you doing?
Awesome. Just coming off that week off after two races in a row. Kind of ready to get back into it.
Yeah, me too. So, especially with how it went for Ferrari, our eager or lacking eager or my lack in eagerness to do a show has nothing to do with Ferrari's complete and total abject failures at both races. It has nothing to do with that, and instead is attributed to being a dad and lots of time commitment in that realm. So if you have forgotten, we are old enough to remember the Spanish Grand Prix. Ferrari looked dominant. Leclerc was cruising until he wasn't. I think it was like lap 26, 27, somewhere around there. Engine gave out. I don't know if we ever got details on what exactly happened, but yeah, he dropped back from the lead of the race. Verstappen was running in second. So he took the lead and won the race. Went on to win the race. Did Carlos finish second? What happened with Carlos? I can't remember at Spain. What did
Carlos
he do?
finished fourth. So Spain was Max, Sergio, George, Carlos, Lewis, Valtteri. Carlos did the same thing Max did. They both ran off at turn 4 or whatever it was due to a gust of wind. But Carlos did it early enough in the race that people were close enough to him that he dropped back pretty far away. Max did it and only George and Sergio got by him. So Max wasn't punished as much for his mistake because of when he did it. He already had a pretty large lead over most of the people. But yeah, it was Max, Sergio, George, Carlos, and Lewis. And the only reason Carlos finished fourth, he was actually passed on track by Lewis, who then, with like 5 or 6 laps left, was told to slow up because the engine was overheating, I believe. And so him and George were both told to cruise to the finish. So in doing that, Carlos then retook fourth from Lewis. But Carlos had a decent race, except for the one mistake. Max wins and passed nobody of importance on the track. He couldn't get past George, and they battled for a few laps. And Max was, depending on your view of the race and what may or may not have happened, handed the race by his team when they told Sergio to let him through or whatever. So twice, actually.
I must have just completely tuned out after Leclerc broke my heart. I was like freaking Ralph Wiggum. It was like,
yeah. I mean, Leclerc looked like he was going to win the race by like 25 seconds. Like he looked like he was going to have it easy, but you never know.
I might have to go back and rewatch that because I don't remember anything really after Leclerc going out besides that Max won.
Yeah.
And then I guess it was a short week until Monaco, and we were all very hype for Monaco. Leclerc put it on pole, at his home. Was it Perez second or was it? No, it was Ferrari 1-2. Carlos qualified second, and being Monaco, that bodes well for Ferrari. Then on Sunday we had rain, which is fun for Monaco. The start of the race was delayed because it was an absolute downpour. The British broadcasters for Sky Sports there was a lot of whinging, as they call it, about oh, it's just a spot of rain. They're bloody Formula One drivers. Like, get out there. These cars are safe. And it was just like a downpour. And then it turns out on the back end, there was some issue with the starting lights because there was like a localized power outage because of all the rain. So just a full on shit show. And then on top of that all, Monaco is still the one track that has its own broadcast team. And so a lot of there weren't a ton of passes. A lot of them were missed by the cameras because they don't know what they're doing. Basically, the Monaco broadcasters, I think, are the equivalent to that person that says they watch football and then just watches like the Cowboys when they're on prime time and the Super Bowl. Like, those are the only games they watch every year. And so they don't know, like, they're not Formula One people. Like, they don't understand the timing or anything. And yeah, this is how it used to be at every track. Can you believe that shit? It used to be like this for every single track. Like, they just had their own feed. And then so anyway, a little flashback. Of course, the big story of the race was when the teams decided to switch from dry tires to intermediates or full or no, excuse me, when they decided to switch from intermediates to or from full wets to intermediates, then to dry tires. Got it right there. Gasly was one of the first drivers to do it. He started putting in good laps. Leclerc and Sainz out front, they had enough room where they could kind of play it conservative. They played a little too conservative, left Charles out there too long, and then when Carlos decided to stay out, opt for a switch to full dries, he was able to consolidate second, but we had Sergio Perez, who was running in third, switch to inners, do a couple of fast laps, and then undercut the Ferraris. And once the pit cycled through, it was Perez in first, Carlos in second, Verstappen in third, and then Charles in dejected and in fourth place. We had some drama because there was a Mick Schumacher crash that brought out a red flag. The car snapped in half. This time, the Haas did not burst into flames like it did in Bahrain with Grosjean. So that was good to see. But it did bring out a red flag. It did trigger, I think it was a rolling restart. We didn't get the standing restart. But they were able to switch tires, and Red Bull opted for mediums, Ferrari opted for hard. So Perez ran off his medium tires towards the end of the race, but it being Monaco, Carlos couldn't get around him. He had a good look in a few spots. Is early in the season, you know, if it were later in the season, he might have full sended it in there. But anyway, Perez wins. Verstappen third, Carlos second, and poor Charles. I didn't even see any shots of him post race. I think he just was like, "I'm going to go to my flat." Do they call it flats in Monaco?
I assume, but I don't know.
But yeah, man, what were your thoughts of Monaco and how it all unfolded? The clowns at Ferrari. I mean, what can we do here, man? Like,
Well,
what the fuck was Ferrari thinking?
I don't think Ferrari was. I think Ferrari was trying to get ahead of Red Bull on the second tire switch with Leclerc, and because both Red Bulls come into pit, Leclerc pits on lap 21, from what I'm seeing. Well, first he pits on lap 18, then Sainz comes in on lap 21, and Sainz, if we remember, went straight from the wets to the hards or whatever to the dry tire. Leclerc's team decides to go on 18. They say, we're going to get off these full wets, and they go to intermediate. And within a lap or two, or like half a lap, kind of realized that was a mistake. But then they pull him in again 3 laps later, and the Red Bulls come in right after that, and the overcut just worked, essentially. Like, it got the Red Bulls in front of the Ferraris, basically. And in terms of strategy, I think I told you, like, in our group chat or whatever, I don't understand not sharing, like, thoughts between teams. I know you pointed out that, like, the only reason Sainz stayed out was probably because Sainz himself was saying, like, let's go to straight to drive.
Yeah.
I feel like if I'm a Ferrari engineer, like, I got to share what one guy's thinking with the other side of the paddock. Like, that just doesn't make sense to me that like, you're a team, like, that should get shared in some capacity. But, we're not in there, and maybe it was shared and Charles didn't feel the same, something like that, But other than that, like, I've talked to a few people. I talked to my dad about this, and he's not a big racing fan, but, like, he watches Monaco because it's so big, kind of thing. But Monaco qualifying might be the best qualifying of the year. The Monaco race is just god awful. Like, I mean, we talked about it, and I looked it up. Like, there was one pass after the red flag for Mick, right? So the whole second half of the race, there's one pass. And that's passes on track. That's not including, like, pit stops, stuff like that, or people running off the track. Like, when I think Albon went through turn 1, he gets passed by a few people. It doesn't really count that because it's not like a move. It's the person making a mistake. But there was, like, one legitimate on-track pass the whole second half of the race, and there were 12 for the whole race. It's kind of frustrating. Also, I think no matter what you think about Fernando Alonso, Lewis Hamilton, anything like that, the fact that someone can back up the whole field to where everyone's about to get lapped on a track is a problem. Like, you know what I mean? It's not, I understand what Alonso was doing. He was working on saving his tires, this and that. The fact that he was able to do that without a huge challenge from someone like Lewis, who maybe he's not as aggressive as he used to be, but, like, he's still more than willing to put in an effort to make a pass, and, like, there was just nothing really there. And then on the flip side, Lewis doing the same thing to Ocon, right? Like, at the end, Fernando starts to speed it up, and Lewis just says, nope, we're going to stay here so that you get hit with the penalty and it actually affects you, kind of thing. I think, like, that stuff is a problem. And if it only happens once a year, it happens once a year. Like, it's whatever, right? But it's just not the most entertaining race. I kind of wish it was just a qualifying shootout, and you get points where you qualify, and we don't even have to race.
Yeah. I respect your position. It's shared by a lot of people that Monaco is a dull race. For me, the tension of how the barriers are so close and how the track is prone to induce mistakes or accidents, red flags, yellow flags, weird pit issues, because I mean the pit stalls there are very small. It's tight section back there. So I think I just have that history of watching a lot of these Monaco races. It's always been my favorite track. But I totally hear what you're saying about the how the race could be improved, and it's unlike anything on the calendar. I don't know what can be done to fix that and to make it more exciting on track, because it's small. It's very small. Monte Carlo or Monaco, whatever. I mean, the track covers like the entire country. Basically, it's very, very small. I mean, I listened to another podcast, and they were saying that there's not really many track modifications that can be done, because there's a lot of old buildings that would have to be demolished, basically. I don't understand why they can't build out into the harbor and use and improve the harbor somehow, so the freaking millionaires, investors with their yachts there. I don't know how they say no to that. I don't know if there is strict environmental laws or something in Monaco or the south of France, so that might be a barrier. Unfortunately, that's something that I am a little too familiar with because of the like 2-decade long fight to try to build a stadium here in San Diego or anywhere in California. Like, now the Angels are dealing with it, but I don't see why they can't just build into the harbor to make that section a little wider and take out the chicane that's out of the tunnel. Like, if that's just a little bit longer, you can make passes. And I know if you take it out completely, there's a run into that left-hander that I don't know the name of. But the one after the I think, I don't know if they call it the bus stop chicane, but the chicane coming out of the tunnel, there's another fast left-hander. Like, I don't know if they can just straighten that out and make that corner some sort of, passing opportunity there. Then, I mean, the rest of the lap is fine to me. I mean, I guess it's like a procession, but I mean, you do see stupid people try to dive into the hairpin on occasion. There you see crazy moves around the outside of the bend at the top of the hill. I can't remember what these corner names are, but anyway, I mean, like Charles said, like it's just going to be a weird Formula One season if you don't have Monaco. Some people, I mean, it's just synonymous with F1, but then no doubt it can be and maybe should be improved. But the talk of like getting rid of it is just really sad more than anything. And I think the biggest thing that would help is getting the actual F1 broadcast team to run it, because I mean, it is just trash what they do.
I also think, there's been talk about it already for 2026 that the regulations are going to try to make the cars smaller. That would help, because a car taking up less space on a small track will allow for more room to pull off moves. But I'm with you. Like, I don't necessarily think that Monaco should not be on the calendar, right? As someone that's a recent F1 fan, it is a race that I've known about pretty much my whole life, right? Like, and for not being a fan when I was younger, I'd say like that's kind of, as a sports fan in general, like it's something you hear about. Like, Monaco's happening, right?
Yeah.
No matter whether you're a race fan or not. I think if it's not on the calendar, it's not. I think F1 loses a little bit with it not being there.
Yeah, it's the biggest. It's the biggest race day of the year, because it's Memorial Day weekend. You got Monaco in the morning, Indy 500 in the afternoon, and then Coca-Cola 600 if you're into that sort of thing at night.
Yeah. It's just a big day all around. It would suck to not have that there, right? Especially because like the whole Monaco weekend, like when you look at it as a whole, is a lot of fun, right? The drivers seem to really enjoy it.
Oh, we'll get to that.
But the race is the only part that is kind of trash.
Yeah, I just mistakes are so to strategy are so um are so I mean it just brings it right to the front. If a team doesn't have their shit together, if they make a mistake or the driver crashes on, I keep wanting to say Thursday. They used to do practice on Thursday at Monaco. But if a driver crashes on Friday, like I think Bottas and both the Alfa Romeos had a bad weekend and they didn't get that much running, and so they were starting behind from the get go. So I don't know. I think maybe because I just have this wider lens to look at Monaco as from the macro, from like year to year even. It's still it's just I don't know. It's since it's so unique, it adds a different like flavor to the sport. It's like cayenne pepper. You just don't want too much. You just want like a little bit, because if you overdo it, you're fucked.
Yeah,
Um, but back to the race. So I low key, as the kids say, kind of blame Carlos for everything, because he's on tilt. He's driving on tilt, right? He keeps fucking up, and he thinks, "Oh, okay, I'll wait this out. I'll be freaking Galaxy Brain, go to Dries and steal this race." And Ferrari gets hung up by trying to accommodate that strategy. He ends up pitting and then slowing down Charles. I mean, Ferrari, it's on Ferrari too for not having a game plan going into it and executing it. So, yeah, but I mean, I think if Carlos just follows the team orders, I mean, maybe we're not looking at a Ferrari 1-2, but maybe we're looking at a Ferrari 1-3 or Ferrari two
yeah,
three. Instead, it's a Ferrari 2-4. So,
yeah,
and I've noticed I'm rewatching a lot of races. I think my new routine is to go back and watch like the previous three races from the upcoming track. Like I'm watching Baku 2017 right now, and it is a trend, because I mean, like right now Vettel's running second in this race and he doesn't win. Um,
yeah,
and then Ferrari had the pole at Baku last year with Leclerc, and the year before that, they were right up there. So they're always, and I just kind of forget how Ferrari is right there, but they just can't get it done because of whatever reason. And it seems like it's mismanagement. Red Bull, on the other hand, I can't think of a time where they fucked up a call. Can you? It doesn't happen very
mm,
often. There's no
I
clowns on
can.
the pit wall with Red Bull. There's no
Yeah,
memes. There's no Red Bull meme clown memes.
yeah, no, I'm with you. Like even compared to like Mercedes,
Yeah,
right? Like Mercedes and Ferrari have arguably produced, in their years, like the Red Bull's close. Maybe it's better, but like that Ferrari, Charles was dominant at a couple tracks, right? And should have won easily a few times. It seems like Mercedes the last few years has been there, right? The last 7 or whatever, 8. Red Bull seems to be like they've known they were behind car wise, but close, and felt like they could make it up with strategy. So they've been like, I mean, something that's always baffled me is like why they were like half a second better than Mercedes the last few years on pit stops every single time,
right.
right? And yeah, like even continuing into this year, now it's not Mercedes, it's Ferrari that they're competing with, and their strategy is just consistently better. The only call that you could say that like maybe they've made that was bad is and it's not even a bad for like the race because they ended up 1-2 in the race. But was Sergio letting Max through twice in Spain, right? And that was just an optic thing. That wasn't even like it affected the race kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It was just in terms of like race affecting stuff, like they hit everything perfect.
So what do you think it is? Are they freaking mainlining Red Bull powder and doing lines of the Red Bull concentrate in the back? Is it? Is it as simple as they just have whatever management team? The practice. You don't get half a second faster in pit stops without practicing. Have you read anything or heard anything, or do you have a theory on why Red Bull seems to have year after year have an advantage? Um,
Yeah. So this was actually talked about early in the season. I forget which race it was at. It was at one of the first couple of races, but Red Bull, I believe, is fairly well known to have practiced a lot on pit stops.
mm,
And this year, if you notice, they're not as far ahead on the actual pit stop as they were in the years past. Maybe some of that's other teams catching up, but I also read that like they can't practice as much anymore. Like you only get a certain amount of time to practice now,
mhm.
and that's being regulated, right? So their gap there, the effort they were willing to spend, is not as wide anymore. So I would just venture like pit stop wise, it was pretty much strictly down to practice. Um, as far as the other stuff, maybe it's the fact that they've been in contention for world championships for what 13 years now. Maybe
Mhm.
not in contention the whole time, but like Vettel won what 2011 to 2014, something like that, or 2010 to 2013. And then I know Mercedes kind of took over, but like Red Bull never really dropped to like a midfield or bottom feeding team, right? Like they were always around the top.
Yeah,
Um, and I just think it's a lot of that. Also, when for Mercedes and Ferrari, they're building their whole car, right? For Red Bull, they get an engine from someone. So I think resources get allocated differently in those cases.
could be.
Um, I don't know if that's 100% valid, but it would make sense in my head, right? Like if we're not building an engine, that means we have other, we're paying for it, but that means we have other people that can work on something else instead of researching and building how to make these engines better, right?
Yeah,
So, that's just a thought. As Red Bull powertrains becomes a thing and they actually start building their own engines, maybe things change a little bit. Who knows? But
yeah, and that was a major factor that it had been holding Red Bull back once Mercedes really emerged was the reliability of their engines. They had Renault. Horner used to go in the post or pre-race conferences and just trash Renault, and then they switched to Honda. They had a better relationship with Honda, but yeah, now that Honda engine seems to be doing what it's supposed to do and mainly not failing, and making power in all the right places. They, they're getting good results, especially with Max and Sergio now. So yeah, I kind of have a theory, and I just I just think Red Bull's ahead, like in the as far as the statistics go, and I just think they have the different permutations of how the race can go kind of in their head, or obviously not in their head, but they have it like mapped out. And maybe it's because Red Bull's been running for years as like that second team or even that third team. So they kind of have to have this like counter striking mentality. They've kind of developed their car to be able to pass at the end of long straights, which maybe the Ferrari and the Mercedes are designed to run out front, which might be a little naive. as far as the engineering goes. So I, but it all plays down to like they're more prepared. They're taking efforts to be prepared, and they're getting better results because of it, and less problems in the pits. So, um, which makes Jos Verstappen, Max's dad's comments post race even more hilarious. That he gave them some criticism by putting Sergio on the kind of preferred race strategy and gave him the win. I mean, is this as simple as a dad just doing dad things? I believe his complaints were aired out on like maxverstappen.com, which
Yeah,
is
I
great.
mean, I think Yoss, however you say his name, is an idiot. Hearing some of the stories
Okay.
about him in general,
Yeah.
but to say what he said a week after Spain happened, and on a weekend when Sergio was consistently 1 to 2 tenths faster than Max the whole weekend,
Mm-hmm.
it just looks bad, right? Like, I bring up Spain in terms of like how it looks. Red Bull twice in that race asked Sergio to let Max through, and Sergio did, and Max ends up winning. And the second time, maybe Max catches him on the new tires at the end of the race, maybe, but maybe he doesn't, and it's a 1-2 for Red Bull the other way, right? But instead they force it, and then Max wins and Sergio comes in second. But then you go to Monaco, and now Sergio, free practice, qualifying, in the race, is consistently just faster than Max at Monaco this year.
Mm-hmm.
It happens. Is he going to be faster than Max the rest of the season? Highly doubt it. But is he closer than he was last year? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It really strikes me as like just kind of Max has been spoiled there for a long time and haven't really had a true like rival as a second driver in terms of
Mm-hmm.
like someone that's going to give him competitive issues. And now I think that maybe, I don't think Max necessarily, but maybe his dad kind of sees like, oh, Sergio's not far behind anymore, right? And he can even be better on occasion, right? Like he was better in Saudi this year,
Mm-hmm.
at least in qualifying, you know. And I just think there's a little bit of heat there in that sense from Yas, that maybe Sergio's closer. I mean, everywhere they've been this year, he's been closer than he was last year, I believe, and even out qualified Max a couple times this year. So I just think it's a dad trying to protect his kid, but a dad that is completely out of touch with what's actually happening,
Yeah.
and it looks like an idiot.
Indeed he does. I'm here for it. I'm here for Sergio Perez, Max Verstappen title fight. I'm here for that drama. It seems like they get along, but
It does.
yeah, I mean, you got his dad saying stuff. It's just great. I mean, this league, hashtag this league. I hope we get more Yas on the mic or on the keyboard. In the
I'm with you.
comments, dude, we got to find Yas Verstappen's burner. We just need to find somebody who's like putting Perez hate out there on a routine basis. But he's probably not even on social media. I mean, he might be. You never know with these guys.
True.
So, I mean, I think Sergio's what, like 15 points back. Is he in third behind Charles still? I don't even know
I
what
think
but it's close. I just know it's close. And one thing you mentioned how Max has kind of had the team to himself. Red Bull has not had a reliable number two driver. I mean, really, since it was Vettel and Mark Webber way back. Daniel Ricciardo and Max were teammates, I think, for one season. But yeah, they like I was watching, I think it was Baku 2018, where they crashed into each other because Max was just like, I'm not going to be passed. And then Red Bull didn't like condemn Max and kind of that marked a turning point because Ricardo was more senior at the team and the presumed number one driver. And then you have Max, who's getting decent results. I mean, they were pretty even. And then I don't know if that kind of dejected Ricardo, but he didn't return with the team the next year, and he hasn't been the same driver since. So,
Yeah, I watched somebody break down Danny Rick's driving style the other day, and because everyone talks about how he struggled with the McLaren, and it appears that him and Lando have kind of opposite driving styles. One is in how they break into turns and stuff, but Danny Rick is very similar to Max in how they break. Max has said he likes a bit of oversteer. He wants the front wheels to grab, whereas Danny is very similar to that. And listening to that and thinking of how like people talk about Danny Rick, Red Bull might have thrown away a couple of like constructors title chances by letting Danny Rick go. Like at least in my mind, like if you can build a car that suits both drivers pretty equally, which it seems like they drive very similarly in terms of what they like, that's a huge advantage, right? Like instead of having to pick one or the other or try to placate both. And then as you said, Danny leaves, and then they go through what they who else went there? I know you had Gasly, you had Albon, and then Perez. And Perez looks like he's doing well, but for 2019, 2020, 21, maybe if Danny Rick's there, they're challenging maybe not for the drivers' championship, but maybe for the team, right? Because it's one of the reasons they were down on the team championship was they only had one reliable driver.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of a thought that Red Bull may have cost themselves a little bit in their treatment or preferential treatment towards Max.
Yeah, and I mean, Yas should be grateful, man. Max wouldn't have won the title last year without Sergio Perez. I mean, there was the classic defensive driving he did at Abu Dhabi in the season finale. So, and countless other times throughout the season that I'm not remembering and that I'm conveniently just painting with a broad brush. So, yeah, I hope we get more from it. I hope Sergio, this fire that he has right now, stays lit. He was certainly lit after the race. Of course, there was a tabloid scandal with my man's dancing, and he was drunk. He was hammered. He was shit faced Sergio for sure. Whether or not he, because he is a married man. His wife just had their third kid a few years ago, and he was, from what I saw, he was at least dancing with, I mean, these Monaco supermodels. Who knows? They're probably influencers. I don't know who they are, but they looked like they belonged in Monaco, partying with a Formula One driver post race. Supposedly, there's images of him like kissing one of them. I haven't seen it. These are based by internet comments, so take that for what it's worth. There were people disappointed in Sergio. Me and you talked about it, where obviously it's not a good look, but I'm not going to be calling for the guy's head because he's out there partying, getting shit faced after the biggest win, probably the biggest achievement of his life. So I mein, do you, especially since he's a Mexican driver? I mean, the tabloids in Mexico are, I mean, it's like every news station is like Fox News, and all all the athletes like Chicharito, all those guys are under a magnifying glass, and anything they do gets amplified. So
Yeah.
I mean, I don't. What's your position on this on Sergio going a little too hard? And certainly don't condone cheating, but I mean, like, like vibing, being hammered, and like dancing with some freaking Monaco supermodel is understandable to me. It's not, it sucks for his wife, like, no doubt. Like, I'd be fucking pissed if I were her. And I'd feel ashamed if I was Sergio, but like, I don't know if the dude's reputation needs to be tarnished because of this.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like. We don't know their relationship either, like him and his wife.
Right.
I imagine, he's Mexican. Is she as well?
Probably.
I was
I
gonna
would
say,
think
I
so.
imagine. So I imagine like they don't have this like crazy open relationship that would be like,
Right.
you know, abnormal to most people. But who knows? Maybe they do, and she doesn't care. We also don't know if he even did anything, right? Like
Yeah.
he's at a, you know, is it something I would have done? Probably not. I don't celebrate that way for one thing.
Yeah.
But everyone's different. He's out. He's partying. As you said, this is likely other than winning, maybe the Mexican Grand Prix or the Drivers' Championship, this might be the probably biggest single achievement he's going to have as an individual publicly.
Yeah.
I'm sure he would probably say his kids are probably like bigger things, but in terms of like doing something publicly, like this is it, right? Like Monaco's the most well-known race in the world. It's huge, and he won it. Go out, have a good time. You're with your boys, you're with your teammates. Don't do anything to like disrespect your wife, but like it's also like culturally,
Yeah.
you know,
That's a big part of it.
right. But like, it is what it is. It happens. If you're not caught like taking her back to the hotel room or whatever, like if all we have are the pictures on the dance floor, who cares, right? Like,
Yeah.
you know,
And how do we not know it was Yas freaking trying to sabotage Sergio by paying these freaking chicks that look like they're from Bond movies to, go up
is
and
is Yas a Bond villain now?
yeah, give my guy freaking tequila. And I mean, we were just praising how Red Bull is getting strategy or getting their strategy right and team management right. Where the fuck are the Red Bull handlers, man? How are these people posting cell phone videos of like these freaking yacht parties? Like, come on, my dudes. Like, what happens on a Monaco yacht stays in a Monaco
Stays
yacht,
on a
unless
Monaco yacht.
unless you got the helicopters and shit. But yeah, there was major failures. They were probably all wasted too. That, or they were consoling Max for finishing third yet again because he doesn't do well at that track. Um, I don't know, man, but yeah, it was an interesting tidbit. We always get something like this in Monaco too because I mean they're just there having a good time getting lit. Because maybe the race is it's not as physically taxing. So I mean, for that alone, Monaco belongs on the track.
Yeah.
Maybe they should award extra points for like social media um,
Interactions.
impression.
Lewis would win.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That'd be great. So we got Baku coming up. Thank you, Monaco. I love you. I hope you're back next season. But if you miss a year or two, so be it. But yeah, I mean it can be better, but I still love it. So we're coming up on Baku, another street circuit, but unlike Monaco, unlike Saudi Arabia, unlike Miami, which is a purpose-built street circuit. It is a wide track with long straightaways and lots of passing opportunities. And these cars were designed to be able to pass. I suspect there will be complaints about DRS. I've expressed my thoughts about those complaints at other tracks. Yeah, it's gonna be a wild one. I don't know how to call this. I mean, I'm just leaning Red Bull because even if they qualify second, they have a car that can more easily make passes. So, and Ferrari has the tendency to throw it away. However, like all things equal, I think it's a pretty fair fight. Maybe a slight edge to Ferrari if they can get things right. I just think Red Bull is more likely to get it right. So there's a non-answer. We might see Mercedes sneak up there. They kind of teased at Monaco a little bit with Russell. Hamilton not so much. So yeah, it should be a fun one. What are your thoughts heading into the race, Jeff?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, I don't know, we've seen since Spain, Ferrari has had the best package, right? That's two races in a row that they were probably the best car each weekend. And they didn't get a win either weekend. I would imagine they're looking like the best car again this week. But like you said, I think, especially down that long straight, that Red Bull is just going to have a huge advantage, especially in the race when it comes to passing. I think a lot of it will come down to whether or not Charles and Carlos can basically build up a big enough lead through the first half of the lap or through the castle section to maintain it going down into the straight and on the straight. I don't expect, I saw a tweet about from the Mercedes engineers, they don't expect to have great results for another couple of weeks or another couple of races at least. I think they said after the next two races. And the reasoning there, from what I understand, is that while there's the long straight, and you'd think that, with what happened in Spain and the Mercedes looked really good, that, they'd probably be able to contend, but they also have to figure out the first half of the track, which is very similar to Monaco in terms of cornering and stuff like that. And so the engineers aren't sure really how they're going to set up the car, from my understanding. So they're trying to under promise, I think. I doubt Mercedes is really challenging for anything. I kind of hope McLaren can challenge them. Danny Rick figures it out, gets it together, and we could see a nice 3-4 battle. Maybe Alpine figures that out together. But I really see Red Bull and Ferrari running away. If I had to bet right now, I'd bet on Charles, just in terms of he's looked like the best driver the last few weeks. Being a little screwed with engine and strategy troubles. But as you said, I wouldn't be surprised to see a Red Bull win. They seem to nail every strategy right now, and their car does seem designed for an overtake at the end of that straight. And that finish line is towards the end of the straight. It's not like it's in the middle of it or anything.
Right.
So
as Lance Stroll found out 2 or 3 seasons ago.
Yeah, but I think it'll be a fun race, though. I could see a decent amount of fighting, a decent amount of passing. The first half of the lap is pretty open up until you get to the castle section and a couple turns before that. I think it kind of becomes a little tougher, but after that it opens up again, and then you go down to the long straight. I think we'll see a lot of fighting, and maybe some position trading back and forth. Yeah,
I'm watching I mean, if you see me glancing up, I'm halfway paying attention to the 2017 race. There was a red flag. I can't remember what brought out the red flag. Hamilton and Vettel are running 1-2. This is the infamous time where Hamilton brake checked Vettel and he pulled up alongside him and then like kind of hip checked him. That race. Guess who's running 3 and 4 at the restart on lap 23 or 24?
You said 2017.
Yeah, I don't think you're ever gonna get it, but it's a tough one.
Like Stroll, was he
Okay.
around then?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think he's 4th. What was he driving?
Wasn't he in the pink Racing Point, or was he not in
No,
that yet?
this is before Racing Point. Actually, yeah, Racing Point is there, but this is before Stroll joined them.
I don't know what he was in, and I don't know who the other one is.
It was the Williams. It was Felipe Massa in 3rd in a Williams and Stroll in 4th in a Williams. I think this is the year after Bottas and Williams were competitive, and I guess this is early enough in the season where maybe they're like the equivalent to Alpine right now. Williams is, or maybe even Mercedes or McLaren, how they're running now, kind of like next best after the major title contenders. But yeah, I looked at the freaking tower, the timing tower or whatever we call that, and I see Massa and Stroll and Williams, and then Ricardo was running 5th or maybe 6th, and he passed Stroll, Massa, and held off Hulkenberg into turn 1. Basically a double overtake on the restart. So, my man Danny Rick, when he was good, he was good. So yeah. This always has the potential to be the best race of the season. With how the season's been going so far, I don't see it being any different. I see that it looks like highs are mid 80s. Heat overheating has been an issue for both teams. It seems to be more affecting Ferrari now. It definitely seemed to affect Red Bull more at the start of the season. So we can see retirements from some of the front runners. We can see it in practice. We can see it, in qualifying. There's a high chance of crashes at this track. So I'm gonna say we get a red flag. I'm gonna say we get a grid restart, first one of the season, I think. And I'm gonna say Perez, freaking the cockroach that won't die. I think he wins again. I think Yas is pissed. I think we have a fail. I don't think Max finishes the race. This is all wishful thinking. Every single time I bet heavily against Max, it fucks me. But yeah, and then Ferrari clowns around yet again. Yeah, Perez signs Leclerc top 3, and we might see. I mean, we could see Lando on podium, but yeah, man, I expect we will be entertained, and I'm excited. It's my half birthday this weekend, bro. Half birthday, yes.
There you go.
Yeah, shout out. It's LGBTQ Pride Month. There's some other groups celebrating a big month in June, but it's half birthday month for all the December birthdays out there. So, yeah, we're gonna retake June because one of the biggest problems facing the world right now is clearly underrepresentation in birthday celebrations for those sickos born in December.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Jeff, you didn't even know about this issue. Like nobody's out here raising awareness. It's just every time we see somebody with the December birthday, you're like, you too, bro hug.
Is that how it goes? See, as a June birthday, it is my actual birthday month.
Yeah.
I don't have those problems.
Try to celebrate your half birthday in December. People won't give a shit, bro. Sorry. Nobody's going to show up.
Maybe because people don't care about half birthdays.
Fuck you. No, I'm just kidding. Obviously, all in jest. Yeah, you got anything else? I mean, football exists. We're still Deshaun Watson's accusers is experiencing exponential growth.
I don't know about exponential, but it is growing.
Yeah. So, I mean, you got anything else on your mind, my dude?
I don't at the moment. I don't care about football. Baseball's kind of right in the middle of nobody cares season. Celtics are up 2-1. They just beat the Warriors last night in the NBA Finals. Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, I watched some basketball. Finally last night, and it wasn't a great game, but what can you do? I'm tuning in a little bit. You know, I thought about starting this podcast on a real light note and talking about what happened in Texas, Uvalde, or however you say it.
Oh yeah.
But I decided to not. I will just say, yeah, like I'm fucking I'm so tired of it, man. I'm so frustrated. Like one more thing like that, and like I mean, I'm out. Like I don't know what that means, but I probably just trying to get my daughter to go to school in another country. However, I can do that.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, that's all that I can really, um, kind of feel like working towards because nothing else is doing anything. And I'm at the point where like now with the whole like make violent video games illegal, like that kind of crutch that we lean on, or like fuck it, I don't care, like ban it. Like I'm willing to just like whatever you want at this point. We just gotta fucking do something because it is yeah, I'm just thinking now, like, how am I, how am I going to explain this to my daughter one day? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and luckily we're in California where things are, um, there are some control laws in place, but fuck, man, like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It doesn't have to be a difficult conversation, but Americans make it a difficult conversation. And it, the thing that's really weird to me about this whole thing is like, um, watching politics recently, paying attention to things, and like, there's been a whole war against teachers, right? Against
Mm-hmm.
like the liberal indoctrination of schools and stuff like that. And then, a shooting happens at a school, and now, um, they go from bad mouthing all teachers to wanting to put a gun in all teachers' hands, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't understand. Like, you're not arguing for any, like, your arguments just don't make sense at this point. The only argument that I think makes sense is to ban guns. And, that doesn't have to be all guns. Um, but, like, there's no reason a normal average citizen needs an assault rifle. Like, I
Yeah.
fully understand the people in, the South who deal with feral pigs or feral hogs, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I understand, like, you've got to be able to protect from that. You might need more than one or two shots, right? So like,
Yeah.
an assault rifle might make sense in that case, but like an average person, an 18-year-old, being able to go and buy not just one but two, and then you can buy as much ammunition as you want, kind of that kind of stuff. Like, that definitely needs to be regulated. It's um, I don't know, require safety, require checks, all that kind of stuff. Is just my thought.
Yeah. God, I don't even I mean, it's pointless for us to talk about solutions because it's not like we're know any freaking lobbyists or have a freaking platform like Matthew McConaughey does that can maybe do a smidge of influence. But I mean, I was thinking of possible solutions, and I mean, I think the thing that would make the most logical sense is raising the age I know people are talking about to 21, but I mean, there's some science that your like frontal lobe or your brain isn't fully developed till you're like 26, 27. I mean, I feel like if you can't freaking rent a car until like 20, what is it, 24, 20, something like that. Obviously, this like private industry has kind of set a norm to compensate for potential losses that they have, or potential liabilities, whether it be like freaking vehicle manslaughter or whatever, um, to a vehicle, which is dangerous to operate. I would argue a gun is more dangerous to operate. Like, why can't we push that out? And I was talking to somebody about it, and they said, well, how are you then going to say, hey, Johnny C plus, you want to make a man out of yourself? Like, come to the army and put a gun in their hands. And I was like, well, fuck. That's probably never going to happen
Well,
then, because good.
Oh, I was gonna say, like, to be in the like, if you look up what you have to do to maintain your guns in the military, like, it's if we required everyone to do that, it would make sense. Like, they don't carry them around base unless they're, specifically told to. They check them out.
Yeah.
They check them back in. They have to meet certifications all the time. Like, there's no not training and not like learning how to use these things. So the fact that, and I'll use my own experience, I can go into a Cabela's and never taken a gun safety class, never learned how to shoot a gun like through an instructor. Like, I'd shot them. It's, they're fun. Don't get me wrong. I fully understand what I'm doing there, but I've never like gone through a course, never taken any like gun safety, none of that stuff. I can pass a background check, and 15 minutes later, I can walk out with a gun and
Mm-hmm.
ammo. And like, I don't. Yeah, I was 32 when I did that, right? Like, not a young person per se. Like, I'm not 18, 19, but like, it's a little concerning that you don't have to do anything when the fact to even get your license, you have to go through multiple tests, right? Like,
Yeah.
um, all that stuff. So, I think it's in America, it's always going to be a difficult conversation, but I think it's one that needs to be had, and both sides need to be willing to give something up, right? Like, you can't be. I think at this point you can't be completely like get rid of all the guns in the United States,
Yeah.
but I also don't think you can be like, oh, everyone should be able to have whatever they want.
Yeah.
Um, you know, I think there's a pretty solid middle ground that I think should be pretty easy to find. And if it doesn't happen, then I think it means that neither side wants to actually fix the problem.
Yeah. God damn, dude. It's just so like, ugh. It's just so like defeating, you know?
Yeah.
Um, I mean, everybody's talking about that one tweet where like we made our decision when Sadie Hook happened, like the direction the country was going in. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what else? Like, it's gonna happen again.
Oh, it's happened like over 20 times since the one in
Well,
Texas.
yeah, I mean, God, I just like elementary school kids, like fuck, man. Like, it doesn't get much worse than that. So yeah, and I mean, it's gotten to the point now where it's like, oh, like 5 adults were shot at a grocery store. Like, thank God it wasn't elementary school kids, like,
Right.
yeah. So, fuck. I don't know. I don't know. It's fucked with my head for sure. So anyway, but yeah, I mean, I guess it's just trying to encourage like healthy conversations about the gun laws. I think there's still a lot of unhealthy talk going on from from a lot of people. And I mean, I feel obligated to say both sides, but I feel like this shouldn't be a side thing. I think we can all agree like elementary school kids should not feel threatened for their lives when they go to fucking school. And
Well, they
I
shouldn't
don't,
have to do active shooter drills, right?
yeah.
Like,
Well, I can understand because there are like intruders in general that you would have to that will be a factor no matter what. However, yeah, obviously when they have active shooter drills, like that's gotta fuck with your head. Um,
yeah,
and so yeah, I mean, I would just kind of encourage people when they are talking about it is to kind of maybe remove like preconceived biases and just sticking to that one issue. I see a lot of people sharing like how could like how could Republicans or gun owners be pro life and also, you know what I mean, let something like this happen. It's like I get the point that's being made, but like I'm sorry, we don't need to elevate another issue um by roping it into to this issue. You know what I mean? Like it's just
yep,
not it's not it's not constructive. It doesn't add anything. It just drives a bigger wedge. And
right,
I saw, yeah, I mean, I saw the same thing being done with like mask wearing and the left like saying, "Oh, how could you be pro life and like not wear a mask?" It's like, well, why? Like, can we just talk about like how wearing masks doesn't make you sick? Like, like,
right,
why are we bringing abortion into this? I get it. I mean, I guess I kind of get it, but like, it's just like little bumper sticker lines like that. Like, I'm not here for it. It doesn't do shit. It just makes people mad. It gets talked about on freaking, it's a good social media comment, but like, if we're actually going to fucking do something, if you're actually interested in doing something, don't boil it down to that. There's a lot more, you know what I mean?
yeah. No,
So
I'm with you.
anyway, I'm and like a lot of people do it, and I'm just like super frustrated. And I was talking to freaking work about. I mean, I don't know if you need to go, but I was talking to work about like how the whole Johnny Depp Amber Heard thing is getting like so much play. Like I'm online a fair amount on Twitter and Instagram, and like I couldn't open it up without something about that trial being on the top. And I brought it up at work the other day. I was like, why is this getting so much play? Like, I mean, it sounds like he was kind of a shitty guy. It sounds like she lied to at least some extent. Like, why is this being elevated just because he's a freaking celebrity? Like, and I mean, I guess I get it. It moves the needle, but there's clearly something going on where whoever Depp's producers are, his handlers, his agent, or whatever, are paying these Instagram accounts to make him look like he's a good guy, and they're not
Right.
even like. And I mean, it is shitty that some people lie about domestic abuse and the extent. It sounds like there was a little bit of both from them. But like, I don't think that should be, you know, getting segments or like its own coverage on the news when, especially with like the shit that's going on now. Like, I don't care. I don't care that Johnny Depp's career was ruined because of a freaking implication. Like, my dude has millions and millions and sounds like a drunk, surly dude in general. Did you hear some of the text messages he sent?
I did not.
He said, okay, so one point he was pissed off at her. He was texting his friend, I can't remember who it was, that he wanted to burn her. He said, we should burn her. We should burn Amber. And he's like, no, we should drown her first till she dies and then burn her. And then he said, so after we drown her, burn her, then I'm gonna fuck her corpse. Is what he said on his text messages. Is like,
I mean, who
okay,
hasn't said something like that to
yeah,
a friend?
exactly. Who among us hasn't threatened to violate the drowned, freaking fried corpse of their significant other? Who among us? Johnny's just a normal fucking dude. It's like,
Yeah, I
get
mean,
the fuck out of here with all this coverage about how this guy was trying to like be dragged through the mud. Like, yeah, it sucks. It sucks. But like, it was like 50% of the news coverage was him.
yeah, it was concerning to me that it stayed like the number one news story through the Buffalo shooter, through the Uvalde shooter, like through everything. And it was like, wait, like we have like actual people dying. Like this case isn't even a criminal case. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
not, and like I'm kind of with you. Like they were both shitty people to each
Yeah.
other. Like I don't think that, in terms of how the case was, like I watched the verdict because it happened to like come right as I turned my computer on one day.
Yeah.
Um, but and because I saw it was the verdict, so I was like, oh, I can give a few minutes to this and let me check it out. But like for weeks, it was just like the dominant story, and no one wanted to cover other stuff. And I was like, wait, like there's other things happening in the world, in this country, and like who really cares about this? Like she took a shit in their bed or in his bed. She's a horrible human being,
Who
right?
among us hasn't done that? I
But
actually,
he also is not a great human being. It seems like.
yeah, I have a funny. This is probably the only funny celebrity story I have. That's, I mean, it's secondhand. Um, but supposedly, like my high school girlfriend, her parents own like this dance studio.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like that stuff you used to see on ESPN on the weekends, like during the summer when there's no fucking sports besides baseball.
Yeah.
Um, right after the hot dog eating contest, like that kind of dance. Not the cheer, not the cheer competition. I know you think of the cheer, but I'm talking like Thriller and choreographed. Anyway, so one of the instructors there supposedly dated Slater or AC Slater, freaking Mark, what's his name? Um,
I don't know, but I know who you're talking about.
yeah, the freaking E News guy. Dated him in high school because he's from San Diego or something, or maybe it's college. I don't know. She dated him. She dumped him because she thought he was weird. And then he took a shit. He broke into her Ford Explorer and took a shit on her car or in her driver's seat.
Oh my god, that is bad.
Believe it if you want. I mean, it seems like a freaking crazy story to make up. You know what I mean? It's just like Trump with the mini pizzas on top of a pizza. Like, I think that's the Stormy Daniels thing. Once she said that, I was like, who the fuck would make that up? That is 100% true. Uh, how do you think of these things? So, anyway, I believe that jilted ex AC Slater took a shit in somebody's car because he was mad he got dumped. He's like, you dumped me? Well, here's a dump for you.
Oh my god.
Greatest Los Angeles Charger fan ever, AC Slater. Um, yeah, I mean, we kind of friggin' went off on a tangent there. I don't know if you got anything else to say, but
I do not.
it was a good vent session. Come for the Formula One, stay for the vent. That was like a whole tilt segment. We're tilting the world. Um, yeah. All right, let's get out of here, shall we?
Let's do it.
Enjoy the race on Sunday. And yeah, PF Chang's time. See ya.
See ya.
All right.